was quite interesting. I worked with autistic children, and then at the same time, I was also working with gifted and talented children in creative arts. So it was two very different ends of the spectrum, but at the same time, what you really realize is it doesn't matter what child you're working with. Children cue in to creativity. That's what really excites and ignites children. And I think for adults, and again, I mentioned this in Consciously Connecting, it's that link back to that creativity and that spontaneity, because those are really the sparks and the embers from the very beginning. And children link into that, and they love that. And it really put me in a place, because I had both autistic and gifted and talented, I had to be creative in different ways in order to teach and hopefully move all these children along on their path. And it really pushed me. It really pushed me to really deep personal creativity, and I really had to be connected. And I know I would sometimes take a walk at lunch and just really focus on getting into the deep inner core of me and my inner self, and really making sure that for the afternoon I was just as connected and fresh as I was in the morning. And it is amazing when we take that time to really tap into our connections of creativity. It is amazing what comes out of all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. How important is for the parents to push their kids to pursue their creativity? They see, for example, a child is drawing constantly and so interested in what they do.
Well, I think it's very important to guide. I'm not so sure push is the right word. I think you want to guide your children to follow their creativity, whatever that means to them and for them. And I think you want to expose them to as many different experiences. And I also I'm speaking to the adults out there who haven't had that right now as well, that if you did not come from a home that went out and tried Greek food and went out and tried Vietnamese food, and then went to the Modern Art Museum, and then went to look at more classical paintings, I really encourage you to take yourself on this journey in the same way that you would either do this with your children, and if you don't have children, do it for yourself. Because again, when we go outside the box, when we try new things, and when we encourage our children to do the same, it opens up the world. And I think this has been a great gift that my mother gave to me. She was really open to experiencing as much as we could when my brother and I were children, and I was very fortunate to live in Oregon, Oregon, Colorado, California, so very outdoorsy states, and then to have the connection to Chicago, where my mother is from, and I would spend parts of my summers there, and so that connection to the big city and different foods and art and architecture and music. And so it really, I feel, allows for a very well-balanced person, and it allows you then, as you get older, to choose what it is that you really do like. And I think it helps you to pursue your passion and to know your passions much earlier if you are exposed to this. And so I really encourage parents to open up their children's eyes to as much of the arts, whether you like a particular type of music or not. Expose your children to it for an hour or two, and because you never know, we might have the next Beethoven that's sitting in someone's living room as we speak.
Yes, and how important is for the high school, for example, I'm always thinking about that, to expose these children to different kind of art, different kind of things which they might be interested in doing if the parents don't have time to put this work for them. How important is that?
Well, I think it's I think it's so important to be a well-rounded individual. Let's even consider conversations. We are in a world that is, you can be living in Seattle today and London tomorrow, and who knows after that. We have jobs which transfer us. We are constantly on the move. Travel is open to anyone who has a sense of adventure. And so I think it's really wonderful when someone can sit down and have a fluid conversation with someone else on the planet who is from a completely different culture, and there is that understanding. If all you've done is try their food, it gives you a connection. It gives you a starting place for a conversation to be able to say, hey, I've never been to your country. It's on my bucket list. I would love to go, but my school, we had a school trip, and I saw such and such painter, and oh my gosh, does your country really look like that? I mean, I loved it, and I started looking at all the paintings from your country. Again, it gives us the versatility to be able to connect to other people in the world, and I think that is what is so important, and I think it is what we all love to be connected to someone.
Absolutely. This is the excellent point. So how you help others? Do you do seminars? How people can find out about you, more about you?
Yes. So I do seminars, and I work with businesses on consulting, and I also work with businesses as far as I love when I have weekend retreats with small businesses, merging businesses that want to have team leadership and really get the team excited to move forward. I also work one-on-one coaching individuals. So you can reach me through my website. Again, that is Holland Haiis, HAIIS like Sam.com. And you can send me an email and let me know what your questions and concerns are, and I welcome that. I've been meeting with book groups, and I've been meeting with church groups, and I was with a women's group earlier today, which was really exciting. They were just some really pulled together women, but they were so honest. They said, we feel like we're pulled together, but we feel like we need so much more. And I thought, wow, that is a great opening. I mean, it was fantastic, and they're all friends from their college days, but they're all grown women now with children, and they want to just, they're starting to experience a little empty nesting, and they want to really feel connection because they have felt disconnected. They've been out of the workforce, and they just feel disconnected in general. And that's really where they kind of left it and then said, game on, ball's in your court. So we had a really lovely time, and they were great. So groups like that, really, it's exciting for me to see people using the book. Again, it's one tool of many, but what is really exciting to me is to arrive and to be with you and to coach you and inspire you and to help you really get over those next hurdles and watch you create magic.
My next question is, how important are the people you have in your circle for your life, for your career?
Well, I think it's always important to have good people in your circle. I know that we live in an age where we very often think more is best. I don't always agree with that. I sometimes think having a very small circle where you really know someone, you can trust someone, I will tell you, when I was working on this book, it was my baby, and a book does not birth easily, and for the longest time I shared it just with my husband and my mother, and we would kind of bounce ideas off one another, and then I really felt that I needed outside help. I just kind of felt I wanted to make sure that the message was staying on point, and the tone was staying correct, and I felt I needed some help, and it was really interesting. The universe opened up, and two very, very dear friends, Alison Yobage and Josette Galtieri-Green, both really stepped in when I pleaded. They heard my battle cry, and they were really willing to roll up their sleeves. I know Allison came over unsuspecting for a brunch one day, and it was amazing. By the time she left, she was walking out the door with a manuscript, and sworn to secrecy. So you really can't get better friends and a better circle than to hand over your baby and to know that you can trust these people because they want the very best for you. And I guess that goes back to something we talked about earlier, and that's just for people to really look at who is in your circle, and is that circle made up of people who are your cheerleaders and who really want you to succeed and want you to be your best and are going to be there if you fall on your face, because that's okay too. Or is it made up of others? And that's where you might need to take a shift. But yes, I'm a good circle, however small or however large, is a good thing.
What you can say to the people who are listening to us right now and who have an idea and who think they have passion for something and they're so fearful about it, they just don't have enough power to do it?
That is always so hard because, gosh, so many people are ruled by different types of fear, but I guess if we strip it down, fear is fear. I would say to those people that if you just take the first step, I have a week in the book that talks about conquering your fear, and even if it's something as small to walking into an elevator and making eye contact. You can walk into if you're afraid to look at people, start by a stranger. Start by engaging your boss a little longer. Start by maybe making contact with the driver in the next lane for, 5 seconds and then turn away. There are things like this that you can do that are baby steps so that when you get to bigger obstacles, having a conversation with a stranger, maybe if that's what you're afraid of, you're able to conquer it and get a little closer. Everything in life is baby steps, right? I mean, it's just no one starts by building the Taj Mahal as the first thing that they do. It just doesn't work that way. You start with something else. You hone your skills, you get a little better. So you really have to have the mantra, and you have to say to yourself that you will be brave, you are brave, you can be brave, and you start with that. And then you move into, again, a baby step. If you're afraid of, I'm just picking this, if you're afraid of having conversations with strangers, first just start by having a little bit of eye contact with strangers, very little, in an elevator. Look at them and then look at the floor. But you've done something, you've accomplished it for the day. Do that for 7 days. 7 days you would do that. And then you'd maybe move on to passing someone on the street and saying hi, or passing someone in the hallway at your job, hi, and you can just keep going. But make the eye contact, say hi. If you work in baby steps, and again, contingent on your fear, this is just an example, so hopefully it gets some of your listeners thinking about what they're afraid of and maybe what steps they could take. But you start small.
Absolutely. And if you never try, you will never know.
That's right.
So I think, yeah, it's very important. Just take a chance and try it.